Welcome to Banfield, everybody. The jury is still out, but tonight I can state unequivocally that Johnny Depp's ship has come in, and this is it. A Pirates of Caribbean-themed ship, literally. It is sailing atop a flatbed truck, and it's sailing right past the Virginia courthouse, where the jurors are currently deciding on Depp's $50 million defamation suit against his ex-wife, Amber Heard, as well as hearing Amber Heard's $100 million countersuit against Johnny Depp. And at issue is abuse of just about every variety, alleged and denied on both sides. The most intimate pain made painfully public and eagerly consumed by millions.
And on my side of the bed, was human fecal matter. My initial response to that was, I laughed.
You know, he'd lose control and everyone would clean up after him. I cleaned up after him.
And when I knelt down on my hands and knees to look at her foot to see the injury, she kicked the bathroom door into my head. She kicked the bathroom door into my head.
Don't even wait for any other, I don't hesitate, I don't wait, I just in my head instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs, and I swung at him. In all of my relationship to date with Johnny, I hadn't landed a blow. And I, for the first time, hit him. Like, actually hit him. Square in the face.
I wasn't asking for more ecstasy. I was asking for ecstasy because that was what I was requested by Miss Heard. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going? You got this going?
I just started it.
Oh, really? Really?
Defaced a painting by drawing a penis on it, didn't you?
I've never, I don't know about that. I don't remember drawing a penis on a painting.
After all that, who wouldn't need a getaway? Over the weekend, Depp decided to fly to London, where he and guitarist Jeff Beck rocked out on stage at the Royal Albert Hall. That's the second of two shows on the weekend, and where Depp reportedly got a standing ovation, which may have to last him a little while, depending on what this jury decides to say to him. Joining me now is Vinnie Politan. He is the anchor on Court TV, and he follows every inch of every trial, specifically this one. He's also a good old friend of mine and colleague as well. All right, Vinnie, I've been waiting to find out from you what you think is going to happen in this case. Have at her.
This is a tough one. This is a civil case, right? It's 7 jurors. There's so many different ways they could go with this. They could find that Johnny was defamed and not award any money. They could find that Amber was defamed and award $100 million. There's a lot of different places they can go. The bottom line is, how do they approach this? Do they approach this into a he said, she said, who do we believe more, and that's who we find wins the case? If that's their approach, Johnny Depp actually has a chance to win a defamation case, which is very difficult to win in this country. On the other hand, if they really work through that special verdict form, and I've got a copy of it right here, question by question, it becomes much more difficult to find for either Amber Heard or Johnny Depp in their cross claims of defamation. So my gut is telling me the most likely verdict here would be some sort of a push, some sort of a tie, that no one really wins. But if they break this down into he said, she said, who do we like more, who do we believe more, I think that's the best chance that Johnny Depp has to win this trial.
And sometimes that's what juries do. Sometimes they just go with a gut, right? And you and I worked on the British case, so we already went through all this disgusting stuff, and we determined that everybody lost in that case, no matter what. Their reputations were disastrous, and here it is just more public because the cameras are in the courtroom. But Vinnie, it's so important for people to understand what jurors are being tasked to do here, because the ultimate defense in all of this is truth, right? So if the jury believes that Johnny Depp struck her even one time, then she wins, correct?
Yes, and that's the argument that was made by her attorneys, that if there was any kind of abuse, they're saying not just being struck, but being verbally abused or mentally abused as well. And I don't know if the jury's going to agree with them on that. Here's the problem for Amber Heard's team, is that do the allegations, the specific allegations that she makes about what happened in this relationship, do they match up with the physical evidence that exists, whether it's the photographs or the recordings? Do they seem like what she's saying happened? Does it jive with what other witnesses said and what other witnesses heard? And I think that's a real problem. So if this jury believes that, well, maybe something happened, but it's not what she is saying happened, she could lose. I really think they could lose because there's an instruction. You don't believe one thing that someone said, you could discount all of their testimony. And here the testimony is from both parties. So to me, it's not crystal clear. I don't know if that argument is necessarily a winning argument if they believe that Amber Heard is trying to pull one over on everyone. If that's what they believe, they could believe her at her word, and then this is a no-brainer. But I think that's a dangerous argument for Amber Heard's team.
So I want to play a moment from Amber Heard. It was sort of one of the more powerful moments where she was on the stand and talking about the physical abuse she claims she endured at the hands of Johnny Depp. Have a quick look at this. I want to ask you on it on the other side.
Pounding the back of my head, pounding it with his fist. And I don't even remember feeling pain. I just could hear myself scream until I couldn't hear myself anymore. I could just hear him say that he was going to kill me.
You know, Vinnie, it's easy to get like wound up in these details and think you're watching a criminal trial, right? And then thinking guilty or not guilty. And in this respect, it's very different because what this jury has to decide isn't just that, it's also bigger. There's a bigger bar for defamation when it comes to famous people. It's not John Q. Public. And if it were John Q. Public, it would be a different deal in that courtroom. So explain to us, why is this so different when they're public figures trying to prove defamation?
Yeah, so there's two different standards of proof as well. So first, if they decide that a statement made by either one, because everyone here is a public figure, Amber Heard's a public figure, Johnny Depp is a public figure. If they believe that someone was defamed, and that's by the greater weight of the evidence, 50.0001%, we believe that the statement made was false and defamatory, then they have to get to whether or not it was made with actual malice, which is the person making the statement, did they know that it was false? And that is by clear and convincing evidence. So the standard is a little bit greater. Not beyond a reasonable doubt, but probably if beyond a reasonable doubt is 90%, somewhere around 70% that they believe that it was made with actual malice. So there's an extra burden that either side has in making these defamation claims against a public figure. And we do that in the United States. We make it difficult to prove defamation for a reason, because of the First Amendment. And the First Amendment was one of the arguments made by Amber Heard's team in front of this jury. So all that being said, defamation, difficult to prove, much more difficult when it's a public figure who is alleging the defamation. And in this case, the cross claims are both by and against public figures. So
public figures.
That's why, it's a tough case to prove. And when you go through this verdict form, they break it down piece by piece, question by question. It becomes even more difficult because the statements here, the statements Johnny Depp is alleging are from this op-ed in the Washington Post that was actually vetted by lawyers for Amber Heard. And then the statements that are attributed to Johnny Depp by Amber Heard were statements that he didn't even make, that were made by his attorney. So they're saying Johnny Depp is responsible for the words of his attorney. So both sides have a huge hill to climb in this case. But again, it's the way the jury approaches it. Do they just look at it, Johnny versus Amber? Who do I like? Who do I believe? Who am I going to fine for? If that's the case, then somebody could win this. But if they go by the letter of the law here in the United States, I think it's much, much more difficult.
That's tough stuff. I mean, jurors come in there and they're, hairdressers and mechanics and, sales clerks and postal workers. They're not experts in law. This is hard stuff, especially when you get those really long jury questionnaires. One last thing I just want to play. It's a quick soundbite of Johnny Depp on the stand. He said something that I think is not going to go over well, but I want to get your take on it. Have a look at this.
I was sort of not allowed to be right, not allowed to have a voice. So at a certain point, when what enters your mind is you start to slowly realize that you are in a relationship with your mother.
Okay, Vinnie, I'm a mother, and I took great offense to that, as if to say that this was somehow a very disagreeable situation he found himself in life because Amber Heard was like a mother. There are 2 women on that jury and 5 men. Has anybody been sort of chewing on the fact that that might have really stuck in the craw of the women, maybe of the men, too?
No, but it's not like a mother. It's like his mother. And the jury heard all about him being abused by his mother, his father being abused by his mother. So it had a very specific meaning for Johnny Depp. So I don't think it will necessarily turn people off, whereas like, oh, I married my mother. No, it's like I married my mother who abused my father, and my father never fought back, and it's my mother who abused me. So I don't think it's as dangerous as it might seem without the context of all of Johnny Depp's testimony. And that was the early part of his testimony. But it was a very, very specific reference. So I think he's okay if they believe him. If they believe him. I don't think they'll necessarily get turned off by that.
So amazingly interesting. You got to come back and talk to me because I haven't even gone into Politan's theorem of how many hours
there's
per
more.
day.
Wait.
But you're okay.
Ashleigh, I need to vote. Risky business. Risky business needs to be remade. I want to know what happened to that guy.
Risky business. You're voting in the poll. You're voting in the poll that we're having at the end of this show. Which Tom Cruise movie should be made into the next sequel? So you say risky business. I say A Few Good Men. But we'll see what the Americans say. Vinnie, I love you to pieces. I miss you so much. Can you come back a lot and often and always?
Well, now I can. My show is only from 8 to 10 every night on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Yay, that means you're cleared by my show. All right, Vinnie, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.